Curtis.
And I'm your one and only Lady Guns, which means, as always, I am greatness under no stipulation.
And it is your girl, SB the Mind, your homie, your lover, and your friend. I'm kicking it with these guys today. This is actually pretty okay. You know, they be kind of throw shots at me.
Oh, way with the they.
Not they.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Him, Dr. B.
Him right there.
Yes, be trying to throw shots. Lady Guns holds us down.
Because my listeners are appreciative of the clarity that needs to be brought to certain situations in the dichotomy and what needs to be shared in order for you to get both sides.
7 years ago, our founding fathers established this.
That's what is needed. If you're just tuning in, we've been talking about children.
Cheering.
And how we need to protect them and love them.
Lead them.
And know we need to squeeze them up and really raise them the way they need to be raised. And so many people are shirking their responsibilities.
I will say that in the profession, you do see people who are just not adequate.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. They just are not. But and
people that are not adequate, you need to help them, but take the children until they get the help they need.
Say, like, even though they're not adequate, like to some degree, you feel just as you feel for the whole entire situation, right? Because you're like, transfer of negative energy. It has passed through different generations, and that doesn't have a color to it. There's no race to that.
Right.
Now, people may hide it differently.
Right.
People may take care of it differently. They might sweep it under the rug a little bit different. But every race and every region of people, every culture of people, they all have some level of dysfunction that they pass around in different generations, and it's just very obvious. Right. It doesn't matter what it looks like. And you see all of these parents that are not equipped, but to some degree, were they ever taught? Did they ever see? Was it ever a demonstration of that? Absolutely. And that's why, to some degree, I can't just be like, you have terrible parents, because you just don't know
what the parents were taught.
And I tell the kids that I work with, parents are people too, and unfortunately, some people never get it out the way.
Right.
I said, you're here to get it out the way.
Right. Absolutely.
But if a person is financially illiterate, and you were never taught in school how to balance a checkbook, and the bank never taught you, your mama never taught you, daddy never taught you, so now you grow up and budgeting ain't your thing. Yeah, it's not your fault that nobody taught you, but the reality of it is you're running up debt. You don't got 2 nickels to rub together. You got no insurance. You got no this, no that. You're being a disservice. There's no emergency fund. You don't manage your money well, but yet there's a problem with that. So we need to, help you, but then we also need to help the people that is negatively impacting. And just because you didn't grow up with this knowledge and this information doesn't mean that others now have to feel the detriment and the pain because
based
of it.
on your lack of knowledge.
Exactly. I'm sorry you weren't this. I'm sorry you didn't get that. I'm sorry you didn't have the silver spoon. I'm sorry you didn't have I'm sorry you didn't grow up on the right side of the railroad tracks. But let's not continue to perpetuate that and now instill that into our youth who now grow up with that same excuse.
Say something, please? I have a question, Dr. Biz. I had this conversation not too long ago with a coworker of mine, and coming from a very I want to say prestigious, just for the lack of the word, prestigious black family. Is that fair to say? I come from a prestigious black
Huxtables?
family. Yeah, kind of, sort of, a little bit. I mean, even with our dysfunctions, even with our differences and things like that. And I have seen people retaliate and respond to me differently, hearing from where I come from as a
Absolutely.
You get what I'm saying?
All day, every day.
So even on even if we flip it,
and everything was good, you still ends up offending and upsetting somebody.
It's still something that I actually get more, because people like I said before, people come at me because I don't have any kids and I'm not pressed about marriage. But my mom has 4 daughters. And there's one thing my mom tells me every time she sees me: don't ever feel like you got to fold your hand for anything. You have a life, you have a purpose, you are determined, you are destined. You live your life, and God will add everything to it. I don't want you to ever live your life expecting someone to be your life. You live your life and your life will happen. And my mom's very clear about having that. And when you have 4 daughters, that's something to say.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, be yourself. Like,
but here's where the difference comes in your situation. Now, if that was the case when you were 1 year old, 2 years old, you were neglected, you were abused, you were bullied, and it now made you grow up to be this horrible person, okay, we need to look at that because that ain't good. When you get old and you over the age of 18, the age of majority, you got haters. And haters are gonna be there, and people are gonna talk about you, and they're gonna call you out your name. It's just they just gonna do that.
Can you fix it for me?
So here is an example of racism. I'll use that. I believe that racism is taught. It's not something that just naturally happens. I actually have a very good supportive friend who is of the Caucasian persuasion. Grew up in the foothills of West Virginia. Father was a coal miner, like literally raised in a racist environment. However, I understood that the racism was based out of ignorance. This is what I hear about black people. This is what I see on TV. This is like, that was that. She could have actually followed along suit, not only with her family and her upbringing,
but you can make decisions.
But she literally, her family, their rebel flags, their gun-toting, Make America Great Again, everything about them from the outside would speak racism. However, when we began to our courtship as trainer, I was a trainer, she was a client, I began to understand that the only opportunity she will ever get to see something different besides what she's been taught is through me. If I'm going to show you that not everybody's name
is Pookie,
and not everybody is Ratchet, and not
wearing a hoodie,
and there's education, and there's these things,
pull your
and
pants
literally
up.
She started, and I knew that it was a secret mission for her to understand me and me to educate her, not without me saying, okay, so this is what black people do. So that, like, literally just the lifestyle that I lived was just a way of showing her there's something better than what you have been taught or what you've been given. That's the same thing for children. Raise up a child in the way that they should grow.
That's right.
So when they're old, they won't depart.
The problem is we're not raising them the way that they should go.
If you raise them wrong, they're not going to depart from it.
Exactly.
And I truly believe God has to put that inkling of desire to know there's got to be, the world is not flat, and I'm not going to fall off. It's round. I've got to go and explore and see. You know, there's more than just a blue sky. I know there is. So they'll venture off to Alaska to see, you know, the lights.
But the problem is that is a rarity or a minority, because after a person reaches a certain age, I'm not saying they can't change, but if you've lived, if racism has been instilled in you for 30 years,
she's over 50,
right,
and
but
literally she took that desire.
She's an exception,
but I don't think that that's a rarity.
I don't think that's every white person. If you lined up 100 white people who dealt with racism in their face for 50 years, I'm hard pressed to think over 50 of those people are going to say, I have a desire to know black people in a more perfect way.
But 50 is half.
It is.
50 is more than a rarity.
No. I'm saying that I'm hard pressed to think that there'll be 50 or more. In other words, I think after a person reaches a certain age, what that age is, I don't know. For some people, it may be 20s. For some people, it's 30. For some people, it's 60. I don't know what that magic age is, but when something has been instilled in you over and over and over and over and beat into you over and over and over, you have to go through literally a metamorphosis to change.
You have to go through an experience that will spark an interest.
I don't think that we talk about the experiences that changes us a lot. I don't think. I think that we focus.
We just change and that's it.
I don't think we talk about. I think as a whole, like we are always talking about what people are not doing, but there's a lot of people that are doing it, and I think that sometimes,
but not enough.
Is it not enough, or is it just
they're not being broadcast?
Right,
they're not being recognized. They're not being
let's talk about counseling.
Okay, let's talk about counseling.
There are people that have gone through traumatic events in their lives. Statistically, white people are more apt to go get counseling regarding that traumatic event than a black person will.
We gonna pray about it.
Exactly.
I mean, but okay, so then how does
Some
that...
will, yes.
So what
but
does that
I'm
mean?
saying the majority won't get the help that they need in order to
I think
fix
that's
the
changing.
traumatic event.
I think that's changing.
Slowly but surely,
No, I think
but
it's changing.
still the minority of us will seek out
No, I don't think it
professional
is
counseling.
the minority. The only reason why I don't think it's the minority is because I know that my generation is completely willing. So maybe coming from your time frame, it is a minority. But in my time frame, that's a very talked about, expressive outlet. Like that's a
But
thing
there's
that we're discussing.
more
on a
people that currently
constant-
live on the face of this earth than your age group.
Yeah, but they're
The
younger too.
majority of the people
Are not older.
are older.
No, they're not. How you gonna
You
tell
got the
me?
senior citizens, you got the baby boomers.
Okay, you
the
got
baby
it.
boomers
They're not
out
taking-
there's more baby
We got-
boomers that live
millennials
on the
is
face of
taking
this
up-
earth.
Millennials are taking up space. Not only are they
And
taking
they
up
are.
space,
And changing the trajectory
they
of all of the
And then
the
we got
things
people
But
that
we
are
have
younger than
not
us.
yet seen the effects of it.
But it
That's
doesn't
the-
mean it's
it-
not
happening.
happening.
And I'm not
That's
saying it's not happening.
you saying?
I'm saying it's not happening fast enough because
Except-
there's still killing going on.
Right.
There's still raping
But at
going
the
on.
same
There's still
time,
pillaging going on. There's still racism going on.
too dramatic.
It's still happening.
I think that's too dramatic.
As it has
But it's still
always
happening.
been, and good things are still
Let's fix it.
happening.
Right.
Bad
That's
things
too
have
dramatic for me.
always
I can't
happened.
pick that up.
Good things have always happened.
I can't
It
pick
is
that up.
just that we have a
We need
platform
more
and an
good than bad.
opportunity to actually articulate let the good outweigh the bad.
We're
Talk
building-
that's what I'm
more
saying.
about
I
it.
think
building
that's-
more
Speak more
prisons.
about
We're
it.
building more
But
prisons.
I think
No, we're closing down as many at the same time.
And we're open. You don't know what my
They're
generation is
privatizing
doing.
them.
You don't know what my generation is doing. I have not met one person that has not been have been open and willing to volunteer in some space in the community. Not one in my generation. And not only is it my generation, it's everybody behind us. So you can't say that the people
Your-
that are older
your
are taking up
generation-
more space. They're not, because
your-
we still got people that are my age
Your
and are younger.
generation
that are
is what,
older,
the 20s?
The ones that are
Is
older
that what you're
have
considering your
literally
generation?
stated that they're in
Your
their
generation
place
would
and
be
in
the
their
20s,
season now.
and the ones before you would be in their teens, correct? Well, unless you're
So they're not
18,
even in-
you don't have a vote.
No, because even in my generation,
Your
my older
generation-
sister is in her 30s.
I would say from 25 to 35.
Yes.
Okay, 25 to 35 is your generation. That's a 10-year span. But there's people that are 35 to 45. There are people that are 45
When
to
you go-
55.
when you
There are
go-
people from 55 to
when you
65.
go-
That's
when
30
you go
years
45
against
to
your 10
50,
years.
But when you go into that, hold
You
on.
got that-
When you
okay.
go into those
Thank you.
age frames, the 45 to 55, they're looking at retirement.
I was gonna say,
They're
ain't
at a
going
place
nothing
where
in
whatever it's
either
going
way.
to be is going
Gonna
to be.
And
I've
that's
done
my
it, I've done
point.
this,
But that's
and
your
that's
people.
that.
So you talk to them.
Exactly. That's my point. There's more people out there that are saying whatever's going to be is going to be. It is what it is. And they're not making any effort to make any change.
Absolutely.
But
And
we have to
now-
make
but
a
they-
positive
but
change.
they are
We
now passing
are.
that over.
We are.
Your
Right.
generation is.
But
the
and that's just
generations
it.
that are older than you that happen to occupy more of this earth, unfortunately, is not.
And
Kudos
not-
to your
not
generation.
only that,
But I mean,
realize
okay.
this: their generation.
There's more 65, 60-year-olds than
Right.
there are 20-year-olds.
Look at what it takes to make a difference. They are not tech savvy enough to be the social
I
media
was
gurus.
just about to say that
Look
they're
at
not
what it
occupying
takes.
much.
They're not occupying because they can't
They
do it in a
old.
place where
But
it actually
here-
grabs
They don't
the
want to. They
attention.
don't want to go out into the community
The
and
people,
walk.
no. The
My
people,
10 years.
listen.
That's what I'm saying. My 10 years in generation, we making moves.
The
And we're
pe-
we're
no.
Instagramming,
The-
we're blogging, we're YouTubing,
people-
we're
Using their
social.
voice.
We're on
The
YouTube.
people who are in power. There ain't no 20-year-old presidents.
Oh,
There are no
yeah.
20.
There, you've got.
I'm talking about the majority. Please listen to what I'm saying. The majority of the people that are in Congress, that are in Senate,
They're
that are in the
getting
But,
executive,
we're not
and
even
younger.
interested
but
in them.
today they're not.
But my
No, they are
generation,
getting
my
younger and
generation,
younger now.
first of all, how many marches have we had this past year? Let's talk about the
So you're saying
we're doing something
that
and we're
the
doing
majority of people that are in Congress, Senate,
No.
and that are
You
judges.
are the majority.
Right, that's what I'm saying. I'm talking about the majority of people.
But what if we don't
are
care about
older,
Congress?
and the majority of the people are the ones that are in power. The judges.
Okay, so what are
the
you
people
saying?
that make the laws,
Base
the
your
people
argument for
that
me.
enforce the laws
Base your
are the
argument for me.
older generation. And it is the older generation.
I need you to base
I'm
it.
basing the argument. It is
Okay.
the older generation that is not doing what the millennials are doing, that are not doing what you're doing. Therefore, the effect of positive change that needs to occur today is not happening because there are no 20-year-old presidents of the United States.
I don't agree. I think that this is a part of the life cycle. I think that this is what's supposed to be happening. We are supposed to be evolving and expanding our universe and our society. Evolution and expansion doesn't happen without process. And not only will it be process, it's going to take
and
time.
the same thing that you're saying now is the exact same thing that I said when I was in my 20s.
Okay,
which
well-
was the exact same thing that my parents said when they were in their 20s.
But we've made progress.
But
It's not
here
as
we
large.
are.
It is. We've made
Any little
progress.
step
We're
towards-
having
we can't cancel out the little
same-sex
bit.
marriages. Trust me, we're making some level of progress here. Okay, there's progress being made, and I don't think that I don't think the biggest issue is Congress, not because I don't think that it's not going to change. They getting phased out because they can't live and
Congress is actually, they're older, but their teams, the ones
Right.
that bring them the information to make them
Right.
look smart, is based upon a millennial generation.
If they listen to
Because they
them.
know,
If they
because
listen to
if
them.
they want their money, if they want to get voted in, if they want their constituents to buy into what the youthful
That's not
generation
where the wealth is,
buying
though.
in.
The wealth is not in the 20s.
If they're,
The wealth is in the 50s.
but if
The wealth
they
is in the
want-
60s.
And if the wealth of the 50s and 60s want it, they've got to listen to what sells, what is in now, Snapchat, Instagram, all of that is not of their 50 and 60 generation. So they're listening to what sort of state-of-the-art business, this, that, and whatever. They've got to listen to the youthful
And
ones
they're
in order
using
to
it-
be able to do that.
And they're using it to propagate the same old rhetoric that's not making positive change. So you have a Donald Trump
Agreed.
who uses Twitter
Agreed.
and tweets his butt off. Whether he's tweeting or somebody's tweeting for him, the perception
I
is
just feel like
these
you're
are his
being
whatever.
very
So
pessimistic.
he is using the tools
half full.
of the millennials. No,
We are glass half full people. You are glass half empty
no,
people.
I'm saying that it's not happening
I
fast
think
enough.
it is.
There's-
What do you mean it's not happening?
I think it
don't
should happen
even-
faster.
I don't think
I
it
came from a
will.
generation when
I
they told
think
you
we should be better off.
I came at the end of the generation when they stopped telling. When my mother decided to stop keeping secrets in the family and started to talk to her children and communicate to her
Which
children.
should have happened in my generation.
It should have, but it happened in my mother's generation.
So
Who
it
I
didn't
think
happen,
It is.
but it didn't happen fast enough because it should have happened in my
But
generation.
why are you?
But that
Where's
didn't
this?
impact-
But it didn't impact me because now I speak to
Now
my
you're
elders.
right.
But it
isolating.
impacted me, and it impacted the hundreds and millions of people that are my age and older.
Okay, but so then
So it
maybe
didn't
you need to
happen faster
reconcile with the level of growth that you were given or the opportunity of growth. Maybe you need to heal from that aspect.
It's not a matter of healing.
I think
It's
so.
a matter of getting the millennials, getting the younger
We're
generation
doing it.
to step up faster.
No, we're doing it.
I know you're doing it.
We're doing it
Not
fast.
fast enough.
Yes, we are.
You can always do something faster.
No, you can't.
I think
You
I
can.
think the
Look
change
at
is
technology.
happening at the rate that it needs to happen.
iPhones happen, pop out
That-
all the time.
again,
Computers,
but that-
all the time.
again,
That's
We're
not
talking
the
about
same.
TV,
Mentality.
That's
all the
not
time.
We're talking about
changing a
mentality. We're
life.
talking about generational curses. We're talking about
Right.
mindsets. We're talking about
And
dynamics
if
and
we can
dysfunctions
do
in
it, and
relationships.
if we can do it in electronics,
No,
guess
that's
what?
not true.
We can do it in
That is
interpersonal
insane.
relationships.
You know what? That is
Right.
a person. You know who that is? That is a person that doesn't understand what they're talking about. That is somebody talking about Twitter and don't know how to tweet. That's what you said to me just now when you said
absolutely
that.
not.
You did because you're
Absolutely
telling
not.
me you're telling me that something that is happening isn't happening fast enough because you're comparing it to technology, and we're talking about mind frames, emotional states,
Systems,
systems. What are you
change,
talking about? This is what are
gentrification.
you talking about? This is crazy.
Apples
You
and-
think that
apples and
this-
oranges.
And we live
Right,
in a
it's not
society
even
where
the
we got
same.
trillions of dollars that we can throw at an issue
You
or a
can't
problem,
buy
but
nobody
yet
to
we
think
don't
better.
do it.
that was the case, this would have been happened.
Absolutely, you can. How much money do we put into our educational system? We have a lottery that pays out billions of dollars. How much of that goes into books? How much of that goes into higher wages for teachers?
I think
that's what I'm saying.
I think you need to discuss.
The money is there. We're not allocating the money.
That's not our generation thing. That's a y'all generation
exactly,
thing.
because you're not in the power to be able to do that because you're only in your 20s. It's the people in their 40s, their 50s, and their 60s that sit on the boards, that are CEOs of Fortune 500 corporations, that are at the table, that can make a decision today.
And we're being
a decision today can be made to put $1 billion into the educational system and double the wages of every teacher.
So what do you think?
That decision can be made today.
So what do you, but you got to understand that this is going to take time. Like, we're just doing what we need to do. We are moving along with the times. As things are being presented to us, we are accepting the opportunity and we are accepting the challenge, and that cannot happen until it is presented. There's no way that you can cut that differently for me.
And, and it's not being presented. And it can be presented, and it should be presented.
But that's from young people, not my people.
Exactly, and that's the point. That's who I'm complaining about. I'm complaining about my people. I'm complaining about the older generation not stepping up to the plate and doing what they need to do to help the younger generation so that you don't have the same issues and problems that my generation has today. I'm trying to make the world better for you.
I agree, but I think that in every generation, we are always going to deal with some level of demise because we're still growing. So and even my generation going to complain about
there's always going to be.
And then say that the next generation needed.
You're always going to be.
We're not going to want the next generation to do. This is what's supposed to happen. This is the spirit of evolution.
But we're supposed to make it better for
right
you.
now.
Right, but I think
but the generation now actually needs to be where they are.
I think we've created a disservice for your generation.
I don't think that. I think that social media has allowed us to think that is what is happening. But I think that because when I go to a town hall meeting and I'm 28 years old, I see about 50 other 28 years old. Now, I'm not putting that on social media because I'm in a town hall meeting and I need to govern myself accordingly. But it is happening. And there are people that are in the right rooms with the right people having the right conversations. I don't think it's not happening. And I still think that my generation, when we're sitting on the porch and it's two of us and we giving the neighborhood and we cussing out the neighborhood kids because they keep running in the middle of the street, we're going to be talking about how we ain't do that when we was young. Right. Everybody, that's a conversation that I actually think comes with privilege.
But what is happening right now is the millennial generation. They're the ones speaking, listening, pulling together documentation, information. But this is the big picture for both of you. That generation is watching observation of your generation and how it's jacked up. So that when they get there, and then it's almost like I'm gonna see what before I go into this. I'm gonna learn. So no.
And in the meantime, they're suffering. In the meantime,
they're suffering.
We're not.
Okay.
They're not living the best life.
The 20s are wonderful, and all of you that are out there that are in your 20s, you're making what you want to make.
Shout out.
You're doing what you need to do. You are perfectly where you need to be between the age of 25 and 35. Family, you're tuned in to the Profit and Growth Hour here on WDRBmedia, the voice of the community.
Hey, Pam.
What's up, Pammy Pam?
What's up?
You doing all right?
Pam, you walked in. I swear I needed to go to Target. I ain't gonna lie.
I know. Right? Might as well. Some khakis and a red top.
It's cute. It's cute. I like the little boots.